Welcome to the Financial Advisory Podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of the Financial Advisory Podcast. Today's guest is going to be super cool, super helpful for a lot of my clients and a lot of my people who are listening. Her name is Alexandra Erlich, and cannot wait for you guys to hear what she has to offer. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Anthony, for having me. I'm super excited to be here today.
Yeah, we were just talking before we started recording about different abbreviations for your name, and for whatever reason, I wanted to say Alexandria, and you're like, no, I fucking hate that one. And it sounds like you get a lot of different abbreviations or shortens of your name, but which one bothers you the most?
I think Al, because
Al?
I'm definitely not a dude.
Yeah.
Last time I checked.
Yeah.
But I think it's actually funny that you brought up Alexandria.
Yeah.
Because what I tell customer service reps whenever they do that one on the phone is, there's no I in my name because there's no I in team.
Ah, I like that. Yeah, I get it. So I have a similar Anthony or Tony, and when I was, born, it was Anthony up until first grade. When I get to first grade, I learned somehow in class that I think that teacher asked me or somebody asked me like about Tony, and I'm like, no, what's that? Because well, you can shorten your name to Tony. I'm like, cool, let's do that. So I shortened my name to Tony. Didn't tell anybody in my family. My mother didn't know until parent-teacher conferences. So it comes like November of that first year, get to parent-teacher conferences, and like, hey, how Tony? She's like, who the fuck is Tony? And I'm like, that's me now. And my mom was so fucking mad. And it stuck from first grade till, 36 years old. And then I switched careers, and I tried to like spruce it up to Anthony now. So now I try to introduce myself as Anthony, but so many people know me as Tony. So it's like, because all the documents you sign are Anthony, right?
Totally.
So it's like, it's hard to shorten that. Even with you, Alex, like every document you sign is Alexandra, right?
Yeah,
so like,
absolutely.
I try to make it Anthony, and so half of my people know me as Anthony, half know me as Tony. So it's I'm in a weird conundrum. Yeah.
I'm going to throw a full-blown wrench at you. So I'm Russian, and we immigrated when I was 4 years old.
Okay.
And so in Russian, whether it's Alexander for a guy or Alexandra for a girl, the abbreviated nickname is Sasha.
Really?
So I went by Sasha until I joined the actual workforce and had to for IRS purposes, for everything else. And it was like, wait, so how do you get Sasha from Alexandra?
I didn't know that either.
And it's like Bob for Robert or
okay.
Bill for William
Tony
or
and Anthony.
Dick for Richard.
Right.
Well, no, those ones don't make sense. Yours makes sense.
Kind of. But there's still like, it's like, it's not just shortened. It's shortened and the letter's missing, right? So it's not the same, but yeah.
So when
cool.
Facebook first came out, let alone Insta and stuff, everyone was searching for me in terms of like school friends as Sasha, and that didn't exist. I'm like, that's not who I am anymore.
Okay.
And my son actually is Anthony, and he's only ever gone by Tony.
Really?
The only reason he's Anthony is because his dad insisted.
Sure.
And so that he'd have a name starting with an A.
Okay.
With me and his sister.
Okay, all right. But then it goes by Tony, so it messes it all up anyway.
Totally.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's get into, what you do for a living, and then we're going to break down kind of how you can help anybody, but, especially people that work with me already too. So what do you do if you tell somebody in 2 sentences or less what you do for a living? I know it's a lot, so it's hard to like, but I know you go to networking events, you have to explain that kind of quickly. What do you tell people in the high level what you do?
So on the high level, and as you said, this isn't necessarily the best actual in-depth explanation, but I'm your ally in mastering strategies for conquering the credit game. And credit is a game, and any game we play, we should be playing to win.
Yes. And also, like, I first met you, you were kind of representing a client, and that's how I saw you as like this, what would you call it? Like you're not an attorney, but like you're representing your client. Kinda.
Absolutely.
But like asking the hard questions, and just like any negotiation tactic, you go in there, the client wants to be the nice guy, the smile, and then you want to have your beast pit bull next to you asking all the hard questions. That was you, right? So that's a whole other game that's not necessarily credit related, but talk about that too.
But it actually is as well. So I think that oftentimes business owners reach a point where they have people that they feel like work for them, and they don't necessarily work for them.
Sure.
They'll do things in the ancillary fields, and they're like, okay, but I don't know the questions to ask. I've never been in this
Not in
position.
their best interest.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah,
Like truly that unbiased third party. And that's really what's cool about what I do. I'm the unbiased third party. I get brought in the mix, whether it's on a mortgage transaction, on a business sale, on a business acquisition, on a divorce, on a personal injury settlement. I get brought into like all of these massive life events, and yet I'm the unbiased third party that benefits in no way, shape, or form, regardless of which way that outcome goes.
That's cool. It's good to have that. I told you, like, we all need someone like that, right? So going into the credit stuff, right? So let's talk about the credit, business and personal credit, and why people need to know the difference.
Well, actually, I want to kind of back up for half a second to what you were just saying, though, as well, is I think oftentimes we don't know who the allies in our corner really are.
Oh, that's so good. You're right.
And we don't know why we need them, as well as what we should be doing. That's kind of the interesting thing of what's got me to this point in the first place is I don't know that there's a challenge that I haven't personally had to live through and overcome. Whether it was my divorce, whether it was being in finance in 2008, whether it was having a bankruptcy, foreclosure, whatever else. There's nothing in the entire financial gamut that I haven't had to play with in some way, shape, or form.
Got it.
And therefore, I learned how to ask those questions all the wrong way.
Yeah.
And my goal is to make sure that people don't have to fall through those same pit holes that I did.
Okay. I like that. And then you're able to, again, if you're the first time in a situation, you rarely have the knowledge to know, what do I need to ask, right? You know, maybe some basic shit, but there's so many questions to ask. Or we've talked about people not necessarily being in the right corner for you, or people are negotiating deals on their best half, and you're like, oh, I just want the best thing for everybody. And then people take advantage of it. So if you're able to jump in and say, hold on, fuckface, like, we're going to do this way. Like, and then me, the client, gets to remain happy and go lucky, but deep down it's like, here's a team, and it works out great.
That's what's really cool. And I think part of the reason you and I mesh so well is I start every single conversation with anybody with the one simple question: what is your goal? And then they'll usually throw something out like, oh, to get an X amount of money, or, oh, I want my credit score to be perfect.
Yeah.
And then the next question is, no, what's your real goal?
Yep.
Why do you want to do this? Let's peel it back and let's really deep dive. And I'm a mama, so everything I do, I correlate to my kids and I throw out cheesy analogies, and it's like strep throat.
Yeah.
Do we all want a lozenge and something to make our throat feel better? Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's not going to actually.
That's right. I don't have throat.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's not going to actually get better if we don't deal with the antibiotics and seeing the doctor.
Sure.
So we have to factor really both sides of it in there and go, okay, what do we ultimately want, but how do we get there?
Sure. So what do you tell me? Like, tell somebody who doesn't think they need you why they need you for what you do for work.
I think everybody in some way, shape, or form is going to use credit in their life.
Definitely.
And this is where we as a society have really shifted, is that we don't talk about where else credit shows up. Perfect example: life insurance, health insurance, car insurance. Guess what? Every single one of those is impacted by credit rating. Mm-hmm. Guess what? Looking at things like cell phone, gym memberships, even utilities these days is still impacted by credit. Then when we talk about as a business owner, okay, how do we create leverage? How do we buy really cool, fun, shiny objects and flashy things and make sure that we don't screw ourselves?
Right. I like that. What about ages, right? Some people are like, oh, I'm not at a certain age yet, and I'll get there when I get there. But what about like 18-year-olds, 25-year-olds? Like, what do they need? Or if they're not entrepreneurs yet, but maybe they want to be entrepreneurs, how can you get them set up ahead of time? Like, how do you get them on the right path? Even if they don't necessarily know they're going to be there one day, right?
Well, let's talk about your kids. I mean, give me the age ranges.
17, 15, and 4.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's talk about each one of them individually.
Yeah.
The 4-year-old, if you haven't already, you should 100% freeze their credit immediately. Okay. You're just going to go on each of the bureaus, Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, and you're going to probably have to verify that you're their parent and lock it down.
Okay.
And you're going to want to do that until they're at least 16. I recommend doing this the minute your child has a social. And also, this isn't just for children. This is
just to protect against fraud, or what's that for?
This is for fraud protection, identity theft protection, as well as everything else that can happen in today's day and age.
Okay.
There's not just identity theft. There's actually identity mix-ups. Like, how often do we get a bloop? Sure. How often do things get sold? Okay. And let's be realistic. Social security numbers are only 9 digits.
Right.
Okay? So guess what's happening?
They're reusing them now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they're getting reissued. Mm-hmm. So what happens if your kid gets...
I've already heard of the stories like that. That's already happened. I know that. That's crazy.
And so sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
Here's a fun one for you. Do you know how Social Security numbers are issued?
No.
They're issued based on where they're requested and when they're requested.
I know your number has something to do with... If you can dissect the number somehow.
Yeah. The first 3 are where.
Okay.
The second 2 are when. And then the last 4 are a mathematic pull.
Okay.
So here's a fun one for you. Again, I'm an immigrant. Mm-hmm. I came over to the U.S. with me, my mom, and her parents. Okay. So guess what? We all request our Social Security numbers at the exact same day, on the exact same time, in the exact same location, right?
Yep.
Guess what happened? The first 5 digits of all 4 of our socials are identical.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Now, here's the best part. I have my mom's maiden name.
Ooh.
So let's just say I would have been named for my grandfather. If I was Alexandra, he was Alexander. He's not, he's Edward. But that being said, if I was, the odds of us having an identity merger with the first 5 digits of our socials and our entire last name, and even if our first initial matched, are almost 100%.
Right.
We see it with juniors, seniors, all these things.
That's the one reason I didn't do a junior. I wanted to do junior for my first son. And I'm like, I don't want to have him, good or bad, deal with my name, right? Because I was, whatever, a younger kid, but I didn't want to deal with him to deal with maybe if I was really good or maybe I became a shithead, right? Either way, I didn't want him to deal with that. So
I mean, he's going to deal with that either way.
Yes, but less likely, So cool. All right. So the 4-year-old freezes credit.
4-year-old freeze the credit.
15-year-old.
Because I get asked all the time, why don't I want to start my kid on credit like the minute they're a year old? Because think about your own life and how much has your life changed in the last 15 years, the last 18 years. Yeah, exactly. So we want to be strategic in anything we do. And that is sometimes the 11th hour really is the most strategic and sometimes forward sight is the best.
Okay.
So that's where for the 15-year-old, we want to start looking at how do we start teaching money responsibility?
Okay.
How do we start having conversations? I'm guessing that the 15-year-old has a job.
He has mowing lawns and like little shit like that. Yeah. Yep.
So he's got some money responsibility.
Yep.
Has a bank account.
Yep.
Okay. And what is like top 2 favorite stores to spend money at?
The grocery store. Because he wants food and like.
That's to spend your money at. What are his top 2 stores to spend his money at?
He doesn't really.
Okay.
He really just wants like food and fishing stuff.
Okay.
Like
so fishing stuff.
store. Yeah.
Maybe Cabela's.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Do you have a Cabela's credit card?
No.
Okay. So this is something that I would probably recommend is consider getting a Cabela's credit card that only he gets to use for his fishing stuff. So every month he sees the statement. Every month he knows what's going on with it.
Okay.
And his fishing stuff, he can learn how to earn rewards. He can learn how to earn points. But here's what's awesome is on that statement, as you guys are having conversation that normally we don't have at the dinner table, you can show him, look right here, if you make the minimum payment only, you're going to pay 5 times more.
They'll take you XYZ years to pay off. Yeah, they usually break that down for you.
Totally. And it's like, okay, so was this fishing lure really worth 5 years of mowing lawns?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. So we want to make responsible decisions. And it's such a cool way to illustrate it. I love starting this with like a 14, 15, 16-year-old kid is showing them a card.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt, but we got to talk about one of our sponsors. Want to give a shout out to a company that's been helping me out, Momentum Commercial Capital. They offer help with business funding from working capital, equipment financing, SBA loans, and investment real estate financing, with options from single-family rentals up to large commercial properties. They also work with syndications to source funding. So if you're in a business or in real estate investing, or even just looking to get into them, check out Momentum Commercial Capital. Ask for Greg Funk and tell him I referred you. Once again, guys, if you are in need of any of these services, be sure to check them out at momentum-commercial-capital.com today.
At a particular store, especially that way he doesn't need to see all your finances. It's not relevant.
Right.
I don't need my kids all seeing everything I spend money on.
Sure.
But having that in that way
Should
really
that card be in my
gives
name
you,
and add him as a user? Or how's that work?
You can add him as an authorized user. You don't have to yet.
How would... Oh, he's saying I get the card.
Yep.
He just gets to
you
use
show
it.
the statements.
Got it. Okay.
This is more about opening the lines of communication, not necessarily building credit. This is about building responsible financial habits.
What about the 17-year-old then?
This is where we come into the crucial part.
Okay.
17-year-old. 17-year-old should be getting added as an authorized user on 3 of your revolving accounts.
Okay.
And you should choose them strategically based on which ones you don't use or you keep as low of a balance versus limit ratio as you possibly can. One that is old so that you're giving them a good length of history.
Yep.
Ideally not older than they are. The computer is starting to trigger this as a error and saying, wait, you can't have an account that's older than the kid.
That's a good point, yeah.
So, and then thirdly...
I'm not that old. I don't think I have anything that's 17 years old. Maybe I do.
Really?
Actually, I might.
I do. I went through this when I was putting my daughter
I think
on.
I do. That's right. Okay. I have one credit card that I have had. Okay. I'm like...
Yeah.
I forgot how old I am.
mean, my daughter's 18 and I had to go through this where I'm like, okay, wait, do I put her on this? Do I put her on this? And it was just also about having a good mix with a good limit, having really good low usage, perfect payment history. And I could do that strategically 60 days before her 18th birthday.
Right.
And that way she gets all of that grandfathered on. Now that she turned 18, we applied her for her first card. She got an amazing card with an amazing limit.
I did something like at my bank account when I was 16 or 17 where I applied for overbank, what was it called?
Overdraft protection.
Overdraft protection, where it let me go over and they would cover it. But somehow that was credit.
Yep.
And I got it. And then when I turned 18, I had really good credit because of that. Like I remember my first Sears, I worked at Sears. And I got a credit card for like $2,200.
Yeah.
And people there were like, holy, because I did all those apps all the time.
Yeah.
And for somebody new, it was like $500 or whatever.
Yeah.
But $2,200, I was like, holy fuck. So like I had pretty good credit to start with, you know?
And I love those
little thing.
overdrafts. Those are great. However, less and less banks are actually reporting them. Usually you
okay.
only see that with a credit union.
Okay.
Because
Which it was, even back then it was at a credit union.
And that's something we have to remember is how is this data getting there?
Do you like credit unions versus big banks? What's your philosophy on those?
I'm a fan of having a mix of all three. Okay. I like having a local regional bank, a credit union, and a major national bank.
Okay.
And it's for different things, totally.
Okay.
The major national bank is because there's just times you have to play in that arena and you're traveling and whatever else.
I like Chase for that. I don't know.
Absolutely.
That's like the biggest thing I went to Chase for was the fraud protection.
Okay.
When my brother and I were trying to get his CDL, we rented a truck, and I was doing the right thing. I rented a truck to get him his license, and it was like $500 back when we had no money, so it was a lot of money for us, you know. But we wanted to rent the truck, and we wanted to use it to go get a CDL, right? Well, we asked the people working there, like, "Hey, will this truck work to get a CDL?" Like, "Oh yeah, no problem. Do it all the time." And we go to the DMV, like, "No, this doesn't work." Like, what the fuck? So we got ripped off. So and they had to know that.
Totally.
So we go back and we call Chase and tell them what happened. They declined the charge.
Absolutely.
And I was like, whoa. And I didn't have Chase at the time. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And then I had Chase, and I would get random phone calls. I'd be at the gym, and all of a sudden, hey, did you just try swiping your credit card for some fucking Jordans in Atlanta? No.
Of course not.
No. Like, thank you. Don't worry about that. So like Chase is really good at fraud protection. Great for it. So
they are.
I was sold on that for that.
Actually, my two favorite are both Chase and US Bank.
Okay.
Absolutely love both as a national bank. And for me, a lot of it's about travel and convenience and being able to actually hit a branch. I still need to do certain things. I'm old school enough and old enough. Yes, I'm old. I know. But I need to do certain things in person just so I can wrap my head around them.
Sure.
Like, I can't keep dealing with a computer. I have one credit card right now that I lost my shit on this rep, and I felt so bad.
Poor rep making $16 an hour.
I felt so bad. I'm like, I'm really sorry.
You're taking this out.
I'm really sorry. This is not your policy. They will not take phone payments. They will not take ACH payments. They will not take a check. They will not take a wire. They will not take a Western Union.
What do they want?
They will only take a direct transfer from your bank. And the bank, your bank information has to match your name, address, everything that they have as a card identically. So I was trying to pay it out of my business account, and
I see.
And they're like, "Yeah, we rejected your payment." I'm like, "What? The ever loving?
Yeah.
I just want to give you money.
Right.
Do you understand? I just want to give you money."
Some bank financial institutions are like overly protective, and they're like not smart either. Just dumb shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just, it takes a lot for me to go from this to like this. That was one of those moments though, where I'm like, I need to get off the phone with you right now because I've already lost it bad enough, and I cannot derail my day.
Was that a regional or a credit union?
Neither.
Really?
It was one of
Online
those
only?
like companies.
Okay.
I'm not going to throw them under the bus because I have other accounts with them that are fine.
Right.
I don't know why this one particular
So you're saying paying from your
brand.
business account is what fucked it up?
I'm saying that
I've had that with
like
payments for like my Mercedes. For whatever reason, I was paying out of my business account forever.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they just started rejecting it. I get this phone call, like, "Hey, you're late." I'm like, "The fuck I am." And I look on the app and it was rejected. I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "It's been the same account for 3 years." So I had to go in there and change it, but it happens. It's weird.
Well, but also I think it's like if my address has a south, has a directional in it.
Yeah.
So if my address with my bank is S dot and my address on this card is written out SOUTH, they don't match. So it will immediately
So there's
like
no common
bounce.
sense at all. It's
And I'm
just-
like, I don't know. Can you just tell me? Tell me how to fix it.
Yeah.
And I think like that relates to what you do. That relates to what I do. How often do we just want a human that stops and says, wait,
Yep.
what are you trying to do?
I get all the time on underwriting when it's like, hey, this person says they haven't been to the doctor in 5 years. Can you explain? I'm like, they're healthy. They work every day. They don't go to the doctor. I've lived that life. It's fine. It's normal. Okay, cool. Like there's just some things that pop up that they need a human to talk to. It's like the underwriting, the algorithm is like, doesn't make sense. I'm like, are you a human? Do you understand how life works? So
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think that we have, as a society, gotten away from that. We watch these 30-second reels and we're still scrolling through them. 10 seconds in, 5 seconds in, let's go. And we're watching TikTok and we're tweeting. And we don't remember the value of talking in complete sentences. And it's 90% of that second half the sentence that is the most crucial to what we're trying to accomplish.
Sure. Yeah. What about like people that, of all age? So let's say someone.
So let's finish up though with the kiddo. What do we
that's
when
right.
we're building the kiddo,
17-year-old,
the
right?
17-year-old,
Yeah.
we want to add them as an authorized user to 3 accounts. And we want to do it strategically for them based on length of history, perfect payment history, low utilization. Those are crucial for anything credit related. Then we want to talk to them about what are their goals and what are they doing. Are they going to be doing a lot of travel? Is this an oh shit fund just in case
Right.
I need to get home? How do I get home? What do I use this for? Is this for building? And what are we going to do with that?
The card itself, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
How do we help them choose? Do they need a bank, a credit union, a regional? What do they need
Should they get all
for
three,
themselves?
you think, as a kid?
I think that's too overwhelming for most 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
And they don't have enough money and enough need.
Right.
So I would recommend that they start with a credit union or a small local regional bank because those actually still value a relationship. Let's get real. The Chases, the U.S. banks, the Wells Fargos of the world, they're
I've
fantastic.
had so much money in those accounts, they don't know who the fuck I am.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Until you reach a point of having, I believe, I'm trying to remember what the wealth management gentleman told me, that it's over 5 million liquid, then the fact that you're a customer with them is irrelevant.
You want Chase Bank? Yeah. Or the big banks, right.
Yeah, just the big
They
banks.
don't care.
Unless you have 5 million liquid or more in their stored accounts, you're irrelevant as far as a relationship.
Yeah.
They might appreciate you. They might be nice. You might have a great relationship with your local branch.
Yeah.
But overall, in terms
Your
of asking
regional
for
bank or
favors.
your credit union is going to be helpful.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it's like sometimes you need to ask for a little bit of a,
Yeah.
can you do me a solid?
Yeah, and it helps having a regional bank or credit union locally for you, which I've never really dealt with. I went from a small bank to the big bank in my 20s because of that, the Chase fraud, and never really had a credit union because of that.
And I would really recommend that with that 18-year-old, we're also talking about what are the 1 year, 3 year, 5 year goals.
Yeah.
Are we looking at buying a house? Are we looking at buying a car? Are we looking at house hacking? Are we looking at starting a business? It is never too early to start a business.
Oh, I know.
And like whether that's, you know what, I just think this is the coolest name. I may never do anything with it. Do it immediately while that name is available. Like I talk to people all day long and need their email addresses. And there's still enough people that have their first name, dot, last name at Hotmail, at Gmail, at AOL, at whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you did good.
Yeah.
Because people can actually get hold of you. You might get stuff that's intended for somebody else that has your name, but that's a lot fewer and further between than people messing up and inputting it wrong.
Right.
The other thing that I will say that with kiddos or anybody starting the credit journey that I talk to all the time to this point is how do we repay? How do we be responsible with credit? So here's my favorite 3 hacks. Number 1, always activate your cards when you're sitting quietly at a table, not somewhere on the road, not at a store. Why? Because the prompts are going to ask you things like, do you want auto pay? Do you want credit life insurance? Do you want whatever? The answer is always no until after you've had the card for 30, 60, 90 days.
Okay.
You never want e-statements for the first 90 days.
Right.
Because you have no
I never want them
clue.
anyway. I look back at like, that's someone's job. Fuck. The guy who got to make the paper, print the paper, the ink, the mailer, all that, that's someone's job. Fucking, I want to put it in the mailbox.
Absolutely.
I want to inconvenience everybody I can.
But also,
mail it, get it to my house.
How easy is it to mistype your email address?
Or even just like, you get 100 emails and you miss a bill because of it.
Or you didn't write it very legibly. My handwriting, I'll own it.
Handwriting's terrible.
Yeah, mine's shit. Like, that's fine. I can own that all day long. So love making sure that we're activating consciously, correctly, listening to the prompts, hit redo as many times as we need to.
Sure.
Second thing, getting those paper statements at least for the first 90 days.
Okay.
Here's the third one, and this is huge. Make sure that we always push auto pays, not have them pulled by a third party. We want to set up auto pay
Yes.
with our bank,
Yes.
not letting a third party
never
come
do that.
into our bank
Yep.
and pull our money.
I always do that where I'll have Chase and auto payments out.
Yep.
I never let them take from me.
Because
ever.
guess what? Chase insures that too.
Yeah.
So if it's late, whatever else, Chase foots that bill.
Yeah, I don't ever do that with any third party. I'm always like, they call me, hey, you missed a payment or something weird will happen. Okay, cool, I'll take care of it. On my auto payment? No, fuck you, I'll take care of it. You know,
Yeah.
like, on our side, we'll push it out. Yeah. Why is that? Why do you like that?
Because
I like it for the control factor, but what's the actual?
I like it for the insurance portion of
Okay,
it. Like
okay.
I want to be assured because who else is taking accountability?
Sure.
Who else is counting the specific business days and the bank holidays, whatever else?
Okay.
My bill pay on my end, if I'm pushing it and it says guaranteed to arrive at such and
Yes.
such date,
Yep.
that means it's on them,
Yep.
not on me.
They can count for holidays, weekends, whatever. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
And
And also, there's some weird holidays that pop up we don't know about.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't.
We're
know,
not going to talk politics.
I didn't know Juneteenth was a federal holiday. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. I didn't know it was a federal holiday. I thought it was just a cool thing on the calendar, like Boxing Day.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's cool. I just didn't know it was a federal holiday.
I mean, do you know there's National Cheeseburger Day?
Exactly. There's puppy days. I mean, I kind of thought that's what Juneteenth was. I mean,
Exactly.
no disrespect, but that's what I thought it was. I didn't know that was a federal holiday until the market was closed that day.
Well, I'm Jewish.
Also,
so
that
like
being said, how long has it been? Look it up. How long has Juneteenth been a federal holiday? It's not very long.
1 year. This year.
Yeah. So
was the
I'm
first
not.
year.
I'm
No.
not crazy for not knowing that was a fucking thing. I mean, I don't think anyone told me it was gonna be a federal holiday either. So I mean, I was whatever. Anyhow, on that note, that probably get me canceled. Let's have a shot of tequila.
Woohoo.
So this tequila is our sponsor. Shout out to Teleson and Jake at Teleson. Friend of mine, Carrie King, and I fell in love with this brand. And then I met Jake at one of John Sarasani's events. And I'm like, dude, I got a story for you. And I told him that me and Carrie love this brand and put those guys in touch, and it's been awesome. So before I knew the owners of this brand, I fell in love with the brand. So it's kind of cool. They were my first sponsor for this podcast.
And didn't you fall in love with them originally at one of their restaurants?
Yeah, at Nacho Daddy in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? I'm sure you're enjoying the podcast. It's fucking awesome. I know. Okay. But let's talk about one of my sponsors, Alpine Moving Company. So we all know that moving sucks. Okay. Stop asking your buddies to fucking move you. It's always a problem. We know that. Be an adult. So use Alpine Moving Company. They know how to get the shit done. They offer residential and commercial moving. Also, they will move you anywhere within North America, anywhere in the lower 48, Canada, Mexico. And they're going to hook you up with 10% off. So discount code MOVE24. Make the right move.
Yeah, you were mentioning that.
Cheers.
Cheers. Where's my training wheels? Wait, what?
Don't get training wheels.
No
Not
training
here.
wheels. Oh, I'm going to have to man up.
Don't gotta slam it either. Just sip it. So good.
I know. How often do you get a girl manning up?
Not often. So let's get into like, why do I need you, right? Whether me specifically or anybody in either my similar position or people that are, you know, in my stage of life, you know, why do we need you? Why do I need you?
So,
I know why, but like, let's hear you say it, right?
So there's been this really cool like catchphrasing about the D's of real estate, the D's of finance. And I've like just totally like, I just love this concept. So the first D is diapers. We just talked about how do we protect
Like
our
Biden
kids.
diapers?
Yeah.
Hey, we said no politics, but I mean,
we have
there's no
diapers.
doubt that man is in diapers. Can we get that out there? I mean, even
Absolutely.
Democrats could probably agree that man is shitting his pants more than he's not.
I mean, all the
I
ice
think
cream.
I think he shits his pants more than he shits in the toilet.
It's all the ice
There's
cream.
probably an over-under.
He can't do dairy.
Are there any bookies out there that would take that bet? There's got to be an over-under on that. How many times has he shit his pants versus a toilet versus, I mean, it has to be a fucking
Do you think
wager
it's
out
all the
there.
laxative that his son's cocaine's cut with?
Ooh, maybe. I just think at his age, his cognitive ability, there is zero chance he controls his shits anymore.
I agree.
Anyhow,
But like that's what's cool though is let's talk about
back
that.
to diapers. Yeah.
Diapers happen 2 stages in our life.
Yeah.
Once when we're first born and once when
Yeah,
we're getting old.
at the
like,
end, right.
you know, we've all talked about that and seen the different cycles, whether it's in a meme or whether it's in
Yep.
reality or
Yep.
even, you know, at a sermon. We've
start
heard
and
it.
end in diapers, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So guess what? At both stages, we need to worry about our finances. We need to worry about how the world views us. When it's as a baby, we want to protect ourselves. When it's as an adult, it's what have we done and what are we doing to protect our children, to protect our future legacy and whatever that can look like. And whether that's through life insurance or through being able to buy a ancestral home that we pass down because we have credit, or a family business that business has credit and can again be passed down.
That's huge. People forget about that part. Having business credit to pass on is fucking
And
massive.
here's another one that people forget about all the time is business multiplier. You guys, let's get real here. Selling a business is one thing. Okay, yay! I sold my 1-800-GO-whatever phone number, and I sold my 7 employees and all my liabilities. I'm only going to get X number of dollars for that. I might do okay, but it's not going to set me and my family up for life. What's going to set me and my family up for life is if that business is its own entity. It's a living, breathing thing. It has
'Cause
credit.
if you sell a business that requires you to be there,
Yeah.
you didn't sell them because you need to be there. But if you can sell it and it can still thrive without you, that's where it's a business.
Let alone it has assets, it has credit, it has real estate, it has all of these other
and people
things.
forget how simple that is. All you have to do in that case is you assign somebody else as, like an S corp. You just add a signer, you remove yourself, and all of a sudden you just pass that off, and there's no restarting. The LLC or the S corp, rather, the EIN stays with that company. Been around for 30 years, right? And it just keeps on going on versus a whole new LLC or S corp. And yeah, that's why I think that the business credit passing it on is huge.
I mean, and we can even
for your kids,
let's break it down even simpler. Let's think about it in the course of real life. We get divorced, we die, we do whatever else. How do we pass something on that isn't dependent on us?
Right.
The best way to do that is to have this third-party entity. I actually think that even if you don't work for yourself, even if you never have an aspiration to truly be self-employed, you should have at least 3 companies.
Okay. 3.
Okay.
Why
3.
Why 3?
One should be your family company. Okay. It basically works as a poor man's trust.
Yep.
So let's be honest. There is millions and probably hundreds of millions of people that make under 200 grand a year.
I think, hundreds of millions of people.
Hundreds of millions. That's fair, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If you're making under 200 grand a year, should you ever be spending $5,000 a year to meet with a trust attorney and an estate attorney to update paperwork because of the new bank account, the new car, the one that got totaled, whatever else?
No.
Like, we live here in Colorado. I don't know if you've mentioned that to people or not, but
Yeah, we're in Colorado.
We're here in Colorado. Guess what? We get snow and we get idiot drivers that don't know how to drive in it. So the odds of replacing a car every year, it happens.
Yep.
So when somebody has that, and they're updating it every year, they're dropping $5,000
With the trust
easy.
attorney, you're saying. I
With a
gotcha.
trust attorney
Okay, all right.
down the drain.
Okay.
Guess what? If they own a corporation, so for me,
The corporation could be the trust almost, right? 'Cause
exactly
whatever's in the corporation,
it's a business.
Yeah,
yes.
would be passed on. Whoever's a part of that corporation. If one person's not there anymore,
All you have to do
Yeah.
is literally a meeting minutes
Yeah.
that says, we bought a new car.
Yep.
The shares stay assigned the same way. And you can, in your will,
Yeah.
that you can get from any office store or any Rocket Lawyer, whatever else,
it's all easy shit.
you can break down what percentage of shares each one of your kids gets
That's why I
of
like
this
S
company.
corps.
Yeah,
S corps are easy because
totally.
you can just assign people to it and not have to worry about the trust attorney, right? But the trust attorney is going
But
to be
not even that. Like,
high
you can
level.
even look at it even simpler and simply in your estate planning, in your pocket written will, give each kid, you've got 33.333% of the corporation.
in my event of
And
my
that's
passing,
it.
right?
Yep,
Exactly.
done. Boom. Oh, and you can say, and by the way, deciding vote, my board of trustees, my board of directors is these 5 people that have no ownership interest that can overrule your kids,
Right.
at least on decisions.
Until they're 18 or whatever.
Yeah.
I can decide how
you
all
can
that
put
shares.
all of those things in place.
People don't get that because they hear trust. They think, oh, I'm not there yet. But like plenty of people pass away with a decent job that have, a decent thing going for themselves, but not maybe a shitload of money, but something that can be continued on, or at least launch the next generation, right? So,
But what does that look like even as far as life insurance and as far as what they should be doing to protect that? And if they're not, what are they potentially risking as far as inheritance tax? And as far as
that's huge. So a lot of people they say, okay, I've got this, $30 million business, or I'm going to, I got all this liquid, all this real estate I'm going to pass on to my kids. It's like, okay, your inheritance tax is after 12 million, it's 50%. That's some ridiculous amount. I don't have the exact number, but it's a lot. And that, I believe it was like 18 million. Now it's 12 million. It keeps on getting lower and lower. So if you have all this money, you just plan on just giving to your kids when you pass, well, they're going to get about half of that now. And even whatever trust you have set up, it doesn't matter. They're going to inheritance tax. However, if you have life insurance where I'll look at it as when I die, I want to have an empty tank of gas. I want to burn through everything I have.
Yeah.
And then when I die, bam, kids get $100 million or whatever it is, right? The policy will give them what they need. Not my, I mean, depending on how things go, well, yeah, I don't mind passing on a legacy, but like the insurance policy can't be fucked with. Whereas any other estate or asset, think of how many people are going to come for that. Litigation, lawsuits, fucking someone that works there thinks they are entitled to it or they have some.
And that's where, again,
some
you
loophole.
want to have a business. So that's what
Yeah.
business number 2 does. Business number 2 puts a lien on anything that has any equity.
Okay.
So you pay off your house
Yep.
because you're old school. You believe in just
Yep.
working for the man until the day you die or until the day you retire. And all you're doing is paying your mortgage every single month. You're paying it off. You finally pay it off. Now the house is worth $500,000.
Yep.
Your company puts a lien on that house
They're
for
the first- they're the first
$500,000.
creditor. Yeah. First creditor that will get paid back.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
You do it to protect your kids. You do it to protect the asset. It just works across the board that you absolutely tie up those funds. So the second company literally works as a way to completely
It's a
tie
bodyguard.
up
It's a
anything.
bodyguard for all your shit. Yeah.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah. Cool. What's the third one for?
The third one is for actually running your life.
Okay.
So whether that's because you do something that you might get sued or because you
Well, the
actually
better
want to
you do,
start a
the
business.
better you do in life, the likelihood of being sued,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and I think the third one just kind of becomes that additional reserve. The third one is I, at some point, am actually going to start this company. Cool. Now it's set, it's aged, it's had bank accounts.
The aging is, talk about the aging, why that's important. People always ask you, how long have you been in business for? And you can not actually be in business, but if your S Corp's been around for 5 years, that means a lot more than last year. You know what I mean?
Because what's the statistic? Actually, could you look at what's the statistic? How many businesses fail the first year?
I bet it's,
100? Were you going to say 100% of all
That's
businesses?
all of them. They all fail.
They all fail the
I'm
first
so
year.
like,
They fail, but then they get up and try again.
yeah, I fail. Pull it up, Jamie. What we got?
But then in the second year, that statistic drops to like 80%. The third year, it drops to like 60. And I'll let you keep pulling it up, Jamie, while I'm talking.
What's not Jamie? I jokingly call it. It's Ace. Hey, Jamie's from.
Then why are you putting me on the spot and making me look like a tool?
Jamie's on Joe Rogan.
You're just making me look like a tool.
I know.
Thanks.
These things happen.
Dang it.
20% fell within the first year.
Okay.
20%.
I think it's
It's higher
higher.
than that. Are you looking backwards? Let me see that shit.
First result. Here, I'll pull it up.
Oh.
Okay. How many in the first 5 years?
Oh God, I lost it.
Okay.
That seems really low.
I think so too. I'm almost positive the statistic
He's
was
looking
80%.
at the metric version.
I think it's
He's looking at
yeah.
Canadian version or something. He's not. How many businesses fail in Canada?
Let's see. What is that lending tree number? Scroll down. Sure. Yeah, it's 20 something.
5.
Okay. But right there, what's that? 63%. After 10 years, 65%
Of close, yeah.
have closed. So that's the whole
That
thing.
still seems low.
But
10
we want to
years,
trick
isn't
the computer. You guys.
The longer you're,
Here's what's so
the
cool.
the older your EIN number is, the more likely you're going to get credit issued to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you beat the statistics, you beat the
Yeah.
odds. Here's what's so cool though. We live in this amazing day and age where I will be the first person to talk shit about technology all day long. I hate it.
Your certain age does
yes.
that.
I am part of the Oregon Trail generation. Yes, I own
see,
that.
how old are you? I shouldn't. Is that weird? See,
43.
So okay,
I
that's-
turn 44 next month. I'm
okay,
43.
I'm
It's okay. I can
38.
own it.
Well,
I can
here-
own it.
No, it's not that. It's just I find it weird that
Old
women,
enough to be a cougar?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I find it weird that women are offended by the age thing. Still, I don't know. I understand a lot of things, right? I understand a lot of like public situations. You don't ask this. You don't. Say
If you
that.
asked me my
But women-
weight, we'd probably have a different conversation.
and I can understand that. But the age thing, I've never understood why people get offended by the age. Never got it.
It doesn't bother me.
So, but some people do, right? So, anyhow, it's an old school thing, and you're right. But like, I think younger people don't care as much. But whatever. So, but Oregon Trail, right? Like,
Yeah.
I love that game as a kid. But
Totally.
I think in our generation, the whole age thing, we're in a weird hybrid spot of like embracing technology, but still appreciating not having it. And it's a very unique spot in history where we had Nintendo, we had the internet, we had like basic caveman shit, and then people like him who have grown up with never had to play, finish your homework in class to go play Oregon Trail and
Absolutely.
have fun. Yeah.
Well, what about waiting for the dial-up?
But on the old school
waiting
Mac,
for
like
the dial-up
Macintosh,
to connect.
Dial-up.
And
Or
the orange
get off the
flashing
phone, or
cursor.
get off the internet, so I got to use a fucking
Yeah.
phone. That was some wild shit, man.
Yeah, like I need a new AOL disc. I'm out of minutes.
Yeah. Like actually sharing the phone with your computer, or I would legitimately give...
And getting call waiting.
Yeah, call waiting's a big one too. That's a big... Or I would give my computer aids to download songs. I get all these fucking viruses on my computer and fuck my family's computer up.
Oh.
They would get so mad at me. I would just be trying to download the new fucking Metallica
Remember,
record.
we could actually buy a book of hacks for our Nintendo?
Oh yeah, called
all the cheat
Game
codes.
Genie.
Yeah,
Game Genie, yeah,
cheat codes.
yeah.
I loved my
That's fun
Mario.
shit. Now play Call of Duty and you actually feel like you're really killing somebody. It's fucking wild.
But here's what's cool. We grew up in a society where it was about the cheats, it was about the workarounds, it was about the hacks.
Yeah.
And now hacks are actually a cool, commonplace thing.
Mm-hmm.
Credit is the easiest thing once you understand the game.
Yes.
To play it and play it to win, because it's a game. So again, you're old enough to remember this with me. Remember those little games that we'd get out of the vending machine where you'd pop the circle out and you'd move the pieces so that it would make a picture? And like a Rubik's Cube. I mean, ideally you weren't pulling the stickers off of it, but you know, every now and then maybe.
Right. I actually learned how to take the whole thing apart. What's up, guys? I know you're enjoying the podcast, but I want to pause this. I want to bring some attention to my sponsors, Teleson Tequila. I want to go over a few cool little facts with these guys. So they are from Las Vegas, and there's thousands of tequilas in the world. Teleson is one out of only 40 tequila brands that owns their own distillery. So it's super unique. It's a big flex, right? It's really fucking cool. So based out of Las Vegas, super rad. Check them out. Use our discount code FINAD20, TeleSonTequila.com. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Fucking like a bomb went off. All these plastic pieces everywhere.
And couldn't get it back
Never
together.
could get it back together.
Because we didn't have Gorilla Glue back then.
No.
We're that old.
Yeah. Right. Super cool.
But that's what's so cool is we could take all of this and take this knowledge and we can apply it to other things that our kids can't get the concept of. Like we walk into a store and there's a sale rack and my daughter says 70% off, let me pull my phone out. I'm like, no, you know how to figure that out. Come on, that's like this. Let's go.
Right.
How do we figure out a tip? You don't need a tip calculator. It's the first digit times 2, add a little, minus a little, call it good. You're right around 20%.
Well, I like how when we were growing up, people were like, well, I'm like, why do I gotta learn this math? Well, you're never gonna have a calculator with you at all times. They're like, oh yeah, look it out, fuckface. I have it all the time and it's faster than you are. Yeah. I love it.
So
but learning math, like I learned proportions in high school and I love it. I do it all the time.
Yeah.
You know, like and percentages and money math is important. Algebra and fucking geometry and some of that shit that, you know, I think it's still like a calculus. That's kind of silly, but like kids should learn money math big time.
But that's where like credit really is all those things. It's trig, it's calc, it's geometry. It's so fun to me.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to manipulate. So why wouldn't we want a company that's 10 years old? That's a way of
Is there a way
tricking
to buy
that
those
piece of
too?
it.
There's ways to buy
There
those,
is.
like aged LLCs or aged.
They're aged
S
corps, shelf corps.
Yeah.
A lot of them are called shelf corps. I'm still reluctant and I'm still, before I ever tell somebody to do something, I have to try it myself.
Sure.
And I've tried a couple and I haven't really loved them the way that I would like to be able to go, yes,
The idea
here's
is
a place to
you're
buy
buying
it.
something that's older, that's aged, that has more credit. That's the idea, right? But why has that not worked out the way it sounds like it should?
Because either the business industry, the actual NCAIS coding behind it wasn't ideal. They had opened something they forgot about, and it maybe had some back outlying triggers.
Really gotta find
They'd
the
used it as a
perfect
tax shelter, and I'll do my little. I'm not a certified tax professional. Any tax advice I might possibly talk about, verify as a certified tax professional before taking to be fact, because it is not fact if it's coming from me.
Yes.
So
It's a soundbite.
I've never said that one before.
Yeah.
But like, I think I haven't found a place where every single time, everyone you buy really meets that mark. Whereas you can buy trade
and most
lines.
people probably don't need that.
But you can buy trade lines. So let's say you're 30 years old, you've been stationed in Korea for the last 12 years, or in Germany, or
hopefully in South Korea, not North Korea.
I mean, or in Saudi Arabia, whatever else. You've been stationed somewhere not stateside for the past 10 years. You have no stateside American credit. Okay. You deployed when you were 18 and you haven't been back since. How do we get you some credit? You have no family, you have nobody you can
Right.
talk to. There are ways to purchase trade lines online that actually I 100% will vouch for.
You basically, on those, the way they work, you don't have access to that credit, but you basically attach to your credit, which now looks like you have more credit.
Correct.
Right?
You're
Yeah.
getting added as what's called an authorized user. You have no legal liability, no legal rights.
Yeah.
You don't even get a copy of the card. But that entire trade line Xeroxes, I know, old school Xeroxes copies.
Xerox. I never
onto your
used that
credit
term. I
report.
would always use copy, but yeah.
Yeah, it copies onto your credit report. So 35% of your entire score is payment history. Cool. You're getting all this perfect payment history. The next 30% of your score is balance versus limit. And you guys, people get really caught up in this. People are like, oh, my balance versus my limit. I pay my card off in full every month. Well, when are you paying it? 9 out of 10 people pay it around the due date or a couple days before. Do me a favor. If you're ever trying to maximize this category, this is the easiest hack
Pay it
out
twice,
there.
right?
No.
Oh.
Look at your actual paper statement. On the PDF paper statement, you're going to find the statement cycle close date. Okay?
Yep.
And you're going to pay it as low as you can afford to every single month, the business day before that.
Okay.
Because we have no way of knowing if company 1 hits send at 12:01 a.m., company B hits send at 11:59 p.m. So the business day before that
Yeah.
statement closes out, because whatever the balance is, the status is, the ownership is on that day, is what's going to report for the next 30 days.
So having it lower is better. The next 30
Absolutely.
days. Got it.
Absolutely. If you're going to pay it off, cool. And if you only have whatever amount of money, pay one
lower
off.
is better, whatever it is.
Well,
Right.
but then have them stacked in order, in chronological order in your wallet. Pay one off, then cash advance it to pay the next one off, cash advance it, pay off the next one, play the game. Next thing you know, the computer, you guys, how do computers think?
They
Like,
don't.
again,
They
we're
don't think.
old
It's
enough.
binary, right.
They think in zeros and ones,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
They think the way that someone programmed them to. One of my favorite one-liners.
I like the idea you're talking about, but I don't mean to cut you off, but the
Yeah.
cash advance, you can just keep on moving down. You're not
You don't actually have to have
Right.
money to play this game
right.
and to like
Well,
full-blown hack it.
Go into that more. Because some people are just in a spot where maybe they're broke. Like, listen, I can't pay it off. But how can I trick my 5 credit cards to believing I'm paid off? So go ahead.
Okay, so there's a couple different ways to do it. The easiest way that I would recommend first is if you can get added as an authorized user. So if I have 5 cards, each one's got a $1,000 limit, they're all maxed out. If mom, dad, or we're that generation, we now have 18-year-old kiddos. Our parents have us that are, in our 30s, 40s. We can go in any direction as an authorized user. We can even purchase it from a third party. So if anybody can add us as an authorized user on $10,000 in accounts, these $5,000 is only 30%.
Yes.
We've already shifted that ratio radically.
Yep.
It has nothing to do with the actual dollars. It's that
So even
ratio
even
that
if
we're
you're
shooting for.
maxed out, you can be added to authorized user. You're no longer maxed out.
Correct.
Yep. Got it.
So, and then at that point, once you've now raised your score, then you go back to your same 5, raise your credit limits to double. And again, you've now tricked the computer.
So they give you more money. Now you could borrow from one.
But you don't even have to though, because you're now sitting as an authorized user if you want to
How
be.
could you pay off the one from the other? That's what I was
So
getting
you
at. Cash
could,
advance,
you
right?
can go ahead, cash advance or balance transfer or do any of the things. Now I get asked this one. Here's a fun workaround. How do I do that if I have a department store card, if I have a Macy's or a Nordstrom or a Buckle?
Yep.
Cool. Go buy gift cards
Okay.
and sell them online
Okay.
at a 20%
Cash is
discount.
cash. Right,
Cash is cash. I just paid the card off. I tricked the computer. All I'm trying to do is trick a computer. A computer is in no way, shape, or form
That's all. Also, to be
smarter
clear on
than
that,
me.
that's just going to be a means to an end, not the long-term fix here.
Yeah.
That's just like getting yourself set up.
We're gaming the game.
Yeah. Your gaining traction is to eventually, the goal eventually is to pay it off and not have credit card debt. But in the beginning, if you're in a fucked up spot, these are ways you can use that to get some traction.
Well, credit and debt aren't equal. And I think part of the problem, especially in today's society, is because we're getting so inundated with information. I've got this file that I just worked this week. You guys will appreciate this.
Okay.
Just worked this file this week. This young lady has never been late on anything.
How old is she?
She's 36.
Okay.
36, never been late on anything, about to buy her first house. And she just cannot hit the plateau above a 650.
Really?
But she's personally self-employed.
Is she over leveraged?
She's self-employed.
Okay. All right.
And here's the kicker. She has to go with a bank statement program.
Yeah.
Because of being self-employed, which is fine. There's a million mortgage programs. There's a million options. Not a bad thing. But guess what that requires? That requires a minimum 700 credit score for her scenario.
Yeah.
Okay. So the loan officer tells her to call me. We look through this thing. I'm like, what are you doing, girl? She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you're either on Credit Karma, you're on Experian, you're on freecreditreport.com, you're monitoring how many places. She's like, 5. Cool. How'd you know that? Because you've been opening a new card every other month. They all are giving you $300 limits. You're maxed out on all of them.
How are they giving the limit? Cards.
$300 limit credit cards.
Who's giving them to her?
Destiny, Indigo, whatever, all these no-name companies that aren't major banks, they're giving her $300 limit cards because every single one of these monitoring sites, how do they get paid?
I thought
Banner ads.
Ah, okay.
They make all their money on banner ads. How do they buy your data?
So basically, she's over leveraged on these small Mickey Mouse cards.
But it's not even just that she's over leveraged. It's she keeps killing her length of history
Yeah.
every single month. And she's like, yeah, I've never been able to get a good limit. I'm like, yeah, because right now all you have is finance companies and you keep, the minute you get one, you max it out. She's like, well, yeah, it told me to use it. That's what the computer told me to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, stop.
You got to use 1/3 of it tops.
This is a perfect example of why people need me. If we're going to put together a strategy plan, it needs to be an efficient one. Can any yoo-hoo go on YouTube and try to figure out how to shoot a basketball? Yeah. But if you have Larry Bird offering to teach you the perfect three-point shot.
Because he's white? No, I'm just kidding. I've never heard someone even reference Larry Bird in like 100 years. That's funny.
How old are you saying I am?
That's what I was like, man, Larry Bird's the weird reference. I thought we were going to go LeBron James or Michael Jordan.
I'm a
caught
chick.
Caught me off guard, but Larry Bird, okay. It's
I
funny.
mean,
It's funny. Go on. Keep going.
We can go Jokic.
I feel like
Jokic.
I feel like Larry Bird has the most.
I can go with my countrymen.
Most unorthodox shot in the world. He has a weird shot.
Okay, fine.
fucking with you. It's
Bad
fine.
analogy.
It's fine.
I
though.
suck.
It's fine.
Okay, got it.
And Jokic has another weird shot too. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Anyhow,
all the white boys
all the white
that
guys,
can
they shoot
shoot.
weird. They shoot funny. Yeah. Anyhow.
But here's the thing.
Yeah, you want a pro to show you.
Do I want to do it on YouTube and go, oh yeah, that didn't apply to me because I am a lefty and because I am white and because I don't know how to jump.
Yep.
Okay, maybe the wrong person giving me the wrong advice for my situation.
Sure.
We don't want cookie cutter. There's a time and a place for getting at least basic abstract information. Okay, cool. Google, do I use soap when I wash? Yeah, maybe that makes sense.
There's always a baseline of what you should know. But there's obviously a high limit or a high performance model too.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that with your son fishing. Your son fishing isn't going to just randomly go buy the pink things in the jar or the yellow marshmallows.
Right.
Just because that's what the cheapest thing is.
Right.
There might be a strategy behind in a specific bed of water, having a specific type of lure or a specific type of bait, depending on what he's trying to catch.
Exactly.
I can talk halfway intelligently about that one.
No.
Thanks.
So what you're saying is basically like whatever your goals are, that's how your strategy should be put in place.
And there should be a strategy plan.
I like that.
Cool, guess what? Life insurance, everyone's going to die. There should be a strategy around that. If you have no one to leave it to, maybe the answer is you don't care and maybe you're that exception that doesn't need it.
Yeah. Or you use it while you're alive and not use it when you're dead.
Exactly.
There's a way for everyone to use it, right?
But I mean, and maybe that's the perfect answer is how do I get off the grid? How do I beat the system? How do I tell the taxes and everyone else to go pound sand? Is to do it this way and leverage myself. Leverage it through a company, leverage it through life insurance, leverage it through all of the options available.
So you touched on something earlier too that, maybe my guests will, relate to, but like with divorces, right? There's always a hack for everything. So with a divorce, someone knows a divorce is coming up. There's the rich people never pay shit, right? It's always one of those things. The rich people always get away with murder, like literally, like OJ, right? They get away with murder, but allegedly. Don't sue me, OJ's estate. But anyhow.
Hashtag.
Yeah. But if you have someone like yourself, there's ways to get around everything, even like divorce. How could we, for my clients who maybe are going through that, what are some things you would have them put in place ahead of time?
So first off, I don't recommend doing things jointly. I recommend that we start this conversation at the prenup. We don't do things jointly. We can add our spouses as an authorized user. Something I learned from personal experience. My ex-husband was the guy that had one credit card that he maxed out no matter what he did, no matter how high the limit was, no matter whatever else. I'm that person that has 30 cards so that if I want to max one of them out every here and there, it doesn't impact my score almost at all.
Yeah.
I won't let cards close on me. I mean, COVID did a number because there's stores that just weren't open. I'm not an advocate for debt. Let me be clear about that.
Sure.
I am not an advocate for debt.
Credit's not debt. We talked about
And I
this.
don't believe
Yeah.
in debt and credit being equal. There's a lot of things Dave Ramsey says, however much I don't agree with him, that actually are pretty profound and that a lot of people on
I agree.
layman's use.
Dave Ramsey's a douche in a sense, but like some things he says for the masses are accurate.
Well, but same with Susie Orman, same with Kiyosaki. We can talk about all of these people.
I think the problem I have with any of those people, they all believe what they do is for everybody. And that's
Correct.
not true. That's what I hate about all. They don't say, hey, listen, this is only for certain people. They say, this is for everybody. It's like, no, you're full of shit, dude. Everything is, not everything is for anybody.
Well, I went
Besides
through
water. Besides water and air. If it ain't water and air, it's not for everybody.
Absolutely.
You know, fucking people are dumb. Sorry, go
Well,
on.
it's like every book about divorce. Okay.
Nothing's the same, right.
But they actually disclaimer it. This is funny.
Do they?
This is funny. When we talk about finances, there's no disclaimers. When we talk about relationships, there is disclaimers. Every relationship book, every self-help book,
Really?
it tells you in the first page, if you're dealing with an addict, if you're dealing with somebody that is on medication, if you're dealing with any of these things, stop, because this probably
Book's
doesn't
not for you.
apply.
Oh, okay. Got to see my. I guess I don't read enough self-help books. Maybe that's how you know I don't know about that. But yeah, fair enough.
I just thought it was interesting because I delved into it. So there's certain things that disclaimer it. So
basic shit for a divorce, right? Obviously,
basic shit for a divorce.
They're gonna talk to you.
Don't do things jointly.
Okay,
If you can't,
but they're already.
But also,
at the spot. They're very married.
then understand that the professionals you're working with each have their own lane. The attorney is worried about who gets what. The
attorney's worried about getting paid.
Yeah.
Fuck the attorney. Sorry.
Well, but they also want to get you as much as they can get you so that maybe they can bill you for more hours.
Exactly.
They want you to get them 10 referrals from everyone else that's sitting and drinking a glass of tequila going, yeah, fuck my husband.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
The CPA involved, yeah, I want your investment plan. The FA, yeah. The realtor, yeah, I want your house to list. Everyone has something in it for them. I come in and do actual court admissible planning that talks about how do we freeze all these accounts instead of closing them? Just like I said, I don't close my accounts.
Oh yeah.
The first thing that most judges and attorneys do is say, close everything joint so the other person can't fuck you. Well, wait a sec. If you've been with your spouse for 20 years and you have 20 years of joint credit cards, joint cars, joint everything, and you close it all, you just dropped yourself from an 850 credit score to a 600 overnight.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Immediately
But
for
you
nothing.
can freeze the account, now close it.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Freeze it. Neither person can
Yeah,
charge on it,
yeah.
whatever. Great. This is one of those, again, hacks that I really love and I've started doing. And just, it's simple. What's the biggest problem with divorce other than the marriage in the first place?
Sure.
Is the animosity that comes with it.
Yeah.
I don't care how much you love your ex. I don't care how great things are, how good of friends you plan on being, how many kids you
It
share.
always gets nasty.
There's always that something.
Yeah.
So I recommend open a divorce email. We'll call it the Smith Divorce 2024 at gmail.com.
Okay.
Open a divorce email. What are the things that you're going to both need access to for the next however many years of your life? This isn't about sharing information about the kids. This is about sharing information that you both are going to need. So cool. Every bill that you now get the PDF on gets uploaded into this joint email. Proof that one party or the other paid it on time goes into this joint email. The canceled checks for the mortgage payment out of an account that the new party that is leaving the house is no longer on. The canceled check gets uploaded to the joint email. Everyone now has financial choices instead of being hogtied and stuck living with the person they can't stand.
Yeah. Okay. So if they come to you, those are things you're going to help them set up, right? Okay.
As well as opening new accounts. Again, strategically. If we're going to freeze everything while it's frozen, while it has low balances, now is when we go apply for credit and we apply for 2 cards for him, 2 cards for her. Not being biased, not saying that there's not marriages that aren't him and her. It's easier for conversation's sake.
Lesbian. Wait, does Colorado have legal lesbian and
Yes.
gay marriage? Do they? Okay, got it.
Yes.
I'm so naive to that shit. I don't know.
I'm simply, for my conversation's sake,
I saw a
I've
meme
got
there.
to.
There was a clip of it was some guy talking about gay marriage, and the guy was like, he dodged it perfectly. He's like, "What do you feel about gay marriage?" He goes, "I'm okay with that." He goes, "You're cool with that?" He goes, "Yeah, as long as a gay man marries a gay woman." I was like, "Nice."
I'm going to just stay out of that
Yeah, I don't care
lane
either.
completely.
Nope. I don't think my client. my listeners are going to care about that at all.
All I'm saying is, though, that there's ways to strategize that. Same thing with it's the same as an exit plan on a business. It's the same as getting rid of a partner. What if you brought on an investor at some point in time, or you had mom and dad as a partner, whatever else? There's a time that you grow out of those relationships.
Yeah. Having an exit strategy or a plan in place for everything is key, whether it's divorce, whether it's, exit plan for a company, having that.
Even exiting our kids out of our house.
Well, that too, but having a plan versus, hey, it's your birthday. Now what? Right. So anyhow, this has been great. I'm going to wrap this up. I think having a plan is the biggest thing we can do, right? Whatever it is, whatever we do in life, have a plan. And like Mike Tyson says, everyone has a plan until you get hit in the face, right? So at least have a plan, because you're going to get hit in the face, right? So in life.
So don't bite your ear off.
Don't bite anybody's ear off either, unless you're going to. Mike Tyson said another one too, where he got fined like $500,000 or maybe $1 million for that. He's made over $5 million signing autographs of that photo. He had a pretty good financial plan right there. So anyhow, have a plan. I think that getting a hold of Alex would be beneficial for everybody. So how can people get a hold of you?
They can find me on any social media. Everything I do is under my name, Alexandra Erlich, Erlich. And they can also go ahead and email me, alexandra@alexandraerlich.com.
Perfect. We'll also tag you in all these videos and shit too. So
Much appreciated.
awesome. Well, thanks for coming. This is awesome.
My pleasure. Thank you.